Evangelist Tukpai became known for his fiery evangelistic campaigns, transformative teachings, and commitment to empowering both clergy and lay leaders. Beyond his spiritual work, he was also celebrated as a loving family man, a devoted father, and a mentor to countless individuals who regarded him as a guide in faith and life. Meanwhile, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has said that President Bola Tinubu will ensure that no judge of the FCT will be living in a rented apartment by the end of the president's first tenure. The minister stated this today during the flag-off of the design and construction of residences for the heads of courts of the FCT, adding that the era where judges stay in rented quarters will come to an end. He noted that the president has done a lot for the capital city, and before the end of the president's first tenure, no judge of the FCT will be living in a rented quarter. The provision of houses to the heads of courts follows the flag off of the construction of new magistrate courts in Jabi in September 2025 and the construction of 40 judges' quarters in Katampe district, flagged off earlier in November 2024. The minister has continued to insist that the provision of infrastructure for the judiciary did not amount to interference by the executive, noting that the Federal Capital Development Authority was responsible for the construction of public buildings in the FCT. Meanwhile, the federal government has directed vice-chancellors of federal universities across the country to strictly enforce the no work, no pay policy against members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, currently participating in the ongoing nationwide strike. The directive was contained in a circular dated October 13 and signed by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. The circular was copied to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Permanent Secretary of Education, Pro-Chancellors of all federal universities, Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission. According to the circular, the Federal Ministry of Education expressed dissatisfaction over reports of the continued industrial action by ASU, despite repeated calls for dialogue, stressing that government will no longer tolerate non-compliance with extant labour laws. The minister has directed all vice-chancellors of federal universities to immediately conduct a roll call and physical headcount of all academic staff in their institutions. He also instructed them to submit a comprehensive report indicating staff members who were present and performing their official duties and those absent or participating in the strike.
Meanwhile, the police in Jigawa State has confirmed the killing of 3 persons, while 7 sustained severe injuries in a violent communal clash at Birinin-Nawa local government area. The police public relations officer, SP Lawan Shisu Adam, confirmed the incident currently to correspondents. He said the incident happened on Wednesday night when a group of suspected criminals invaded Dagaseru village, setting houses on fire and attacking individuals. He said a combined team of security personnel swiftly moved to the scene to restore order and arrested 7 suspects in connection with the violence. SP Shisu added that security operatives recovered mobile phones, local charms at the scene of the attack. He said investigations are ongoing to uncover the root cause of the attack. He thereby called on residents to commit to stronger community policing and early warning systems to prevent further bloodshed. In a very recent development, the Academic Staff Union of Universities are commencing a 2-week warning strike after the ultimatum issued to the federal government elapsed on Sunday. This announcement was made by the national president of the union, Professor Chris Biwuna, at a press briefing at the University of Abuja on Sunday. The renewed standoff between us and the government is coming amid ongoing negotiations aimed at averting another round of industrial unrest in public universities. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has again raised the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, to 992 naira per litre from 865 naira. As of today, no official reason had been given for the sudden increment. Now, across several NNPC retail outlets visited by the nation, attendants were seen adjusting their pumps to reflect the new rate. At the NNPC station Ogunusi Road, Ojudibega, Lagos, petrol attendants confirmed they had been instructed to change the price to 992 naira per litre. However, checks at Ibafo along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway indicates that NNPC outlets there still display the old price of 875 naira per litre, but were not dispensing fuel to commuters. Many other NNPC stations were also not selling petrol as of the time this report was being filed. It is therefore worsening concerns over availability. The price hike comes just days after the Dangote refinery denied reports that it imported high sulfur petrol into Nigeria. The statement on Friday last week, the refinery management dismissed the claims as false, malicious and misleading. This clarification indicates media reports which allege that Dangote refinery had imported high sulfur catalytic gasoline from the United Kingdom with sulfur content as high as 690 parts per million, for far more above Nigeria's legal limit of 50 ppm under the Clean Fuel Policy.
Several members of the Enugu State Cabinet have defected to the All Progressives Congress ahead of the anticipated defection of Governor Peter Mba to the ruling party. The defectors include Dr. Lawrence Eze, Commissioner for Innovation, Science and Technology, Dr. Amaka Ngene, Chairman of the Science, Technical and Vocational Schools Management Board, and Dr. Felix Namani, Commissioner for Labour and Employment. In a video shared today by Dan Nwome, the Governor's Senior Special Assistant on Media, the Cabinet members were seen together, proudly identifying with their new political platform. Governor Mba, who was elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party in 2023, is widely expected to formally announce his defection to the APC in the coming days. Meanwhile, videos circulating online show that the APC flag has already been hoisted at the Enugu Government House, fueling further speculation about the governor's imminent move to the ruling party. The Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Yusuf Atta, has dismissed speculations that the northern region has turned its back on President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 elections. In a statement issued by his media aide, Sheyi Olorunshola, Atta described such reports as false, malicious, and a deliberate attempt to create division among Nigerians. He said those spreading the rumors were political actors unhappy with the outcome of the last general elections. He noted that these claims are not only baseless but disrespectful to the genuine sentiment and aspirations of millions of Northerners who have benefited from the renewed hope agenda. According to him, the North remains united in its support for the president, adding that there is no vacancy in Aso Rock Villa in 2027.
In another development, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, has lamented over the demolition of properties by the government without prior notice or due process. Speaking via a statement issued today, Obi condemned the demolition of citizens' properties and destruction of goods by government authorities, describing such actions as willful and inhumane. He fumed that President Bola Tinubu's administration has sent several million Nigerians into poverty in the space of 29 months. According to the former Anambra governor, the demolitions destroyed livelihoods, undermined businesses, and threatened the economic security of hardworking Nigerians. He said, "Why don't you just give them enough time to take their goods away if this is not deliberate to stifle the growth of a certain segment of Nigerians?" Also, he disclosed that the legal and moral compass for the demolition. He asked what legal authority justifies the destruction of private property clearly not used for criminal purposes without prior notice or due process. We must ask, are these actions genuinely in the public interest, or are they arbitrary and disproportionate exercises of power? Obi called on governments to ensure that urban development and enforcement actions respect citizens' rights and the rule of law. Citizens deserve protection for their investments, livelihood and dignity. Meanwhile, these acts of demolition sends a chilling message to entrepreneurs across the nation, and beyond that, their hard work and sacrifices can be wiped away overnight. Obi warned that continued disregard for the plight of citizens could undermine Nigeria's economic stability and social cohesion.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has disclosed that in the 2 months since the commencement of voter registration, over 7.4 million Nigerians have pre-registered online for their permanent voter cards (PVCs). The Commission also released the number of voters who have registered in the various states. INEC's records show that Borno has the highest number of registered voters so far, while Abia has the lowest. In Borno, there were over 783,000 voters or people who have registered for their voter cards rather, and in Abia, just 6,038 people.
Operatives of the Department of State Services Delta State Command have intercepted a cache of sophisticated weapons allegedly used to terrorize Asaba, the state capital, and its environs. Now, briefing the state governor, Sheriff Ovowari, today on the intelligence-led operation that led to the interception, the Deputy Director of Operations of the DSS Delta State Command, Anthony Ifemeje, said the operation, which took place on October 12, 2025, within the Asaba metropolis, resulted in the capture of a notorious armed dealer identified simply as Stephen Sabo Atoshi and his accomplice, a 40-year-old secondary school teacher from Taraba State. According to Ifemeje, the suspects were part of a network trafficking small arms and light weapons from Sheba in southern Libya through Chad into Nigeria via an illegal border in Gidam Yobe State. Now, during interrogation, the prime suspect confessed to garnering 8 years in the illegal trade and to having supplied over 55 weapons, including general-purpose machine guns and AK-47 rifles across the country. Items recovered included 7 GPMGs, several AK-47 rifles, 5 hand grenades and other military-grade weapons, and others concealed in bags of beans transported from the north to the Oko Food Market along the Asaba-Onitsha Expressway. Now, Ifemeje, who said the operation also led to the uncovering of 497 cartons of fake drugs intended for distribution within the state, assured the government of the command's continuous vigilance and determination to cut off arms supply routes and dismantle criminal networks operating in Delta.
Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to initiate peace talks with bandits. This is even as the cleric drew parallels with the recent ceasefire and hostage exchange deal between Israel and Hamas. Sheikh Gumi, who made the appeal in a Facebook post today, said the Nigerian government should take a cue from the United States brokered truce, which he noted involved a group the West once described as terrorists. He wrote that peace between Israel and Hamas, they term as terrorists, brokered by USA, who said there is no peace with terrorists, make peace with bandits and let us have peace, end quote. The cleric has repeatedly called for dialogue with armed groups operating in parts of northern Nigeria, arguing that a negotiated settlement would be more effective in restoring security than continued military action.
Meanwhile, Moile Shower's call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu in a protest on October 20 has gathered momentum. Shower went to some markets occupied by some southeasterners to actually gather more operational support and galvanize more persons interested for the protest, in the midst where Aloy Ejimako, one of the legal counsels to Nnamdi Kanu. While the momentum builds, let's hear Moile Shower as well as other supporters who actually called him the Messiah of the time. Let's take a listen to him.
Stands for justice. He stands strong in defense of the downtrodden. As far as we are concerned, right now, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is a downtrodden. Because he's being detained illegally, he's being persecuted in a very questionable way, and at this juncture, having said all that, I'm going to hand over the microphone to the man of the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Mazin Iche Igwe Once again, I want to thank all of you for the great reception. My name is Mazi Omoyele. And I will take. Yes. Our job here today is very simple. We have tolerated the detention of Nnamdi Kanu for too long. We are not going to stand. Please. We are not going to stand by while one of us is pushed down perpetually by a system that encourages other people to do even criminal things and award them immediately. We are all aware that yesterday, 3 days ago, they were pardoning murderers in this country. Yes. They were pardoning the most notorious kidnapper. Yes. One of the most notorious kidnappers in Nigeria was pardoned day before yesterday. A woman who killed her husband, whose brother was pardoned. Over 53 drug lords who are serving life in detention were pardoned, or their sentences reduced. Let me make it very clear. We are not asking for pardon for Nnamdi Kanu. Because he has not committed. I want to be very clear about that. That the conversation, the context of our conversation has nothing to do with pardon. No. We are asking the Nigerian government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do the right thing. Yes. By granting Nnamdi Kanu total unconditional freedom. Not a single condition can be attached to it. It does not include you providing a surety anymore. Yes. And it does not include visiting police station every Monday. It does not include come back and answer some other charges anymore. The reason I'm doing this is not politics. No, thank you, my brother. You guys know that. If I want to do politics, I want to join one of the bad parties. I am doing this because my conscience tells me it's the right thing to do. And I have decided whatever it will take that on October 20th, I will lead all of you to Aso Rock Villa. We are here in this market today, but we are calling on all markets across Nigeria and the world of people of conscience to close down for one day. It's not too much to ask for. Whether you are in Lagos, 1 week in closer. We have been closing markets every Monday anyway. We need one more Monday. It's not about closing down the market, it's about bringing Nnamdi back home.
All right, that was Omoyele Sowore speaking there along with Aloy Ejimako, Michael Okpara, a couple of Nnamdi Kanu's legal team, and some top supporters of Omoyele Sowore actually hailing him for his courageous input in the fight for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. We will take a very short break. When we return, we'll be speaking with Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who is a political, national, and social affairs commentator. Mr. Elvis will be giving us some insights into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. To kindly stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. This is still the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Well, we'll try to engage and connect with Mr. Elvis Elimehele. Good evening. Thank you for joining us, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Esther. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Elvis. It's quite a pleasure to have you join us on the World News at 6. Let's start off with the ASU strike. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, ASU is saying that they're rejecting the federal government's proposal and they're beginning a 2-week strike from today. That's a 2-week warning strike. The federal government is telling ASU that they have had a conversation, they have agreed, and that if any of them refuses to come to work, it's a no work, no pay policy. Before ASU commenced on the strike, there have been several warnings to the federal federal government. And one of the, selling point of this administration was that in the past 2 years, and ASU has never gone on strike compared to what was experienced during the late Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Would we say that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu spoke too soon, with ASU already commencing its 2 weeks warning strike?
Yeah, Esther, in fact, it baffles my station that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will allow ASU's matter to generate to this extent of going on this warning strike. Yesterday, I was listening to the ASU president and chairman, and he was talking about that since June 6th, they've been on this deliberation, back and front, government, all everything, all the Yaya Ahmed committee that was set up, all the recommendations and all that the federal government and also, signed, they reneged on it. And since that June, they've been on it, talking to the government. And now look at what has happened today. The strike has commenced. This strike, by the end of this week, it would have taken a very drastic toll on the life of the students and even the parents. So I don't know, the Minister for Education, I think he should have done better than this. If really we want to talk of moving this nation forward, we must not toy with our educational system. That is the biggest issue we have in this nation. We saw ASU 8-month strike during former president, late President Muhammadu Buhari, and Nigerians thought that would be the end of ASU strike in this nation. One would have expected that even if there is anything this present administration can work on, is to make sure that our students are not rendered handicapped at all, throughout his 4 years, as the case may be, or even 8 years, whatever. But this is not a omen for this administration. I think the warning strike started today. If it is possible, anything they can do to, avert it between our Wednesday, so that this strike will not continue, it will be commended. And most of the students have started their exams. Most schools have started their exams. Some of them are even preparing to resume. Some of them are also at the verge of starting their semester exam. So you can imagine the distortion. So nobody is happy about this. Especially those of us that cannot afford a private university for our students that are, our children are in public university. By the time you plan the semester and you think it will be over very soon, the strike will now extend it. Some of our children have stayed over 6 years for a course of 4 years. It's not a good one. These are some of the things that the civilized this world are looking onto. That is why you get here, Nigeria certificate is looking down on, and you have to come and start writing another qualifying exam over there before you can be given a better job.
All right, Mr.
So I
Elvis,
think this administration should look into this. Clearly.
Yeah. Obviously, the Minister of Education has actually spoken about it, and according to him, he said that they have met and spoken, and some sort of conversation was had. But ASU is rejecting whatever proposal that the federal government is proposing to them, despite the fact that they have been speaking about this for quite a while. Let's look at the humane angle to situations concerning Nigerians trying to survive, with the kind of businesses that they do. Very recently in Festac, some shops were demolished with goods inside it. Mr. Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, who lately has actually been quiet, but speaking on prominent topical issues in the politics, said that this is wrong. He said the administration is literally trying to determine that Nigerians die out of what is going on. He says that he condemned the willful destruction of people's property and goods by government at any level without notice, that the recent demolition of citizen structures and the destruction of their goods and merchandise remains condemnable, that an administration whose policies and style has sent several million Nigerians into poverty in 29 months should show compassion for its citizens. No, there are talks that these people, possibly were not even given time to take their goods away from the shops. So Peter Obi is saying that this is deliberate to stifle a cross-section of Nigerians, and the secession with which, the concurrent method with which this has been carried out, speaks volumes. That a lot of persons are attaching politics to it. A lot of persons are saying some people just build shops and houses without seeking due diligence, getting the required permits. A couple of people think that this is all politics, especially in Lagos State, because of what happened in 2023, and this is a way of destabilizing the financial inflow of of a certain ethnic group of persons. Other people also say that Peter Obi, when he was the governor of Anambra State, demolished houses, demolished properties, and did not compensate them as he was the governor at the time. So if he did that without explanation, without giving people due time to move away from those areas or those shops, why is he now coming out to condemn what the administration of Lagos State is actually doing if these persons build their shops or houses on illegal areas, or they do not have the proper prerequisite for their structures that were demolished? What's your take on this?
Esther, the present situation we are going through in Nigeria now does not warrant this kind of willful demolition that we are seeing across Lagos. It doesn't warrant it. Nigerians can barely feed. So, on the means of survival, means of livelihood, you go and demolish somebody's shop, then you go and demolish somebody's housing. I mean, it's something that Nigerians should condemn outrightly. Nobody should be talking about Peter Obi demolished during his time. We cannot compare the time we are then and what we are facing at the moment now. One. Number two, these buildings that are being demolished left, right, center, all over Lagos. How did they get the approval for the construction of these buildings? Was it not the same Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, that is Lagos State Ministry, that gave the approval, that gave the approval to the developers? So where was it? Why was the contravention then not noticed? That it got to this level now we are now, that this is now the time Lagos State now remember that, oh, it's time for us to start making out this demolition against some certain tribe. It becomes very difficult for us to actually look at the situation, because if you look at what happened in 2020 during the 2023 general election and what is happening now, one will actually reason into it that this cleansing that Lagos is for us. Every other person that is not part of that is not from Lagos, or who is not a Yoruba person, must not survive in Lagos.
But Mr. Elvis, the state government can.
This is why these people are reading meanings to it.
The state government is saying the state government is saying that it's not just towards a particular ethnic group. For example, I think 2 days ago, a showroom of one of the Ola of Lagos, one of the very popular, was demolished.
That is one in a million. I know it's not just, but that's in a million. Did you not see the demolition in Aspanda? Did you not see the blocks of buildings that were brought down in Aspanda recently? Did you not see?
We saw it.
So let's not just begin to look at that one in a million and begin to use that to justification the situation. That's not that. I won't actually subscribe to that, Esther. A situation where somebody approval and before for the development of the building, then the same government that gave approval, then the same government is coming back to pull down the building. And at the end of the day, those people that work in that ministry that gave approval will go scot-free. Those people are supposed to be sanctioned if they were the one that contravened the laws of Lagos State planning, of urban and fiscal planning. If they are the officials of Lagos State government that contravene it, let us also see that Lagos State government also bring them out and also sanction them accordingly. In the same way, the people who develop their properties lost their money and their
Mr. Elvis, do you think these demolitions are targeted in specific areas where certain persons reside? For example, people are calling out Lagos Island. If you're going towards that Echo Bridge, that Balogun market, you see how shops and houses are too much together, choked. Some of themselves are looking threadbare, but because maybe the owners of that place they can't touch that axis, they can't touch that area. They're also speaking on other areas too, very populated and very congested, that they consider to be on the waterway or even very close to the road, but the state government has not paid attention to it. So why do you think the wave of demolition is coming now back to back? They're just demolition, and the complaints by those whose properties were destroyed and their homes or shops destroyed is that they were not either given a notice, they were not even given time to take their goods away from the shops.
Yes, that's the most frustrating aspect of it, Esther. They were not giving notices that within so time. Although that can be contested, Lagos State government to come and tell you they gave notice, but the people didn't know where adamant to it. But you just made mention of Balogun. Everybody that knows in Lagos knows too well that even that area supposed to have been going towards through urban renewal processes. To create access routes to link those buildings that are so congested. We see some issues in that central Lagos where say, okay, there's fire incident. Even the fire service
Won't
cannot
even be able to have
approach
access,
the
yeah.
building because they are non-linked. There are no access roads. Those are even some of the areas that one would have expected that by now Lagos State government should be talking of urban renewal, to replan those areas so that every building is serviced, accessibly, so that anything of a major comes up, it can be accessed. Not even these ones that are, in very open development, like the one we saw in Aspanda. There's no part of Aspanda that is not accessed. Those buildings don't have access road linking them, but we saw bulldozer rolled into it and they are brought down. So that's why we are looking at why is it going this way. Yes, those ones that are built along the seawall line, along the drainages, one can understand that because we are talking about flooding in Lagos.
Yeah.
Yes, it should be controlled. But, rolling the bulldozer into this commercial area where we have not heard of any issues is something that one should, should condemn. So whatever Peter Obi said about the situation, what Nigerians are going through now, the government does not even need to come and start adding to what Nigerians are going through. Even those that have meaningful jobs now, they cannot even pay their bills. And let you know that even your means of livelihood is taken away from you. So
All
what
right.
do you expect?
All right.
The frustration is too much.
All
so
right.
every right-thinking Nigerian should condemn it. But Lagos State, let us still wait and see what Lagos State government is going to issue, the statement they are going to issue concerning this demolition that we are seeing left by
I think what they're going to say could be predictable.
The approval for all this development are from their own ministry. So let us also hear what is going to happen to these officials and how Lagos State government is also going to, take responsibility of some of these demolition that we see.
All right, Mr. Elvis, fine. Before I hand you over to my colleague who may have a few questions to ask you, Mr. Elvis, I don't know if you've heard about the call for October 20 to walk onto the National Assembly in Aso Rock to demand for the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu. The initiator of that is Omoyele Sowore. Now, here is the thing. Today he met, I think today or yesterday, he met with some market persons, some stakeholders. They are galvanizing support to see how those who could possibly, they could shut off their market, close off their markets, and see how they could get themselves to Abuja. He was in company of Aloy Ejimako, one of the lead counsels of Nnamdi Kanu. Also Michael Okpara, another lead counsel as well. And he got a lot of support and chance. And, there was they actually gave him an Igbo title. Now, here is here is how a lot of persons perceive this. Omoyele Sowore is saying this is not political, but it feels now that possibly some persons may now be divided in terms of their support towards Peter Obi. They say Peter Obi is not brazen and bold like he is. Others feel that this could be a plot of assassination in terms of if Peter Obi is lured or compelled or pressured to do what Omoyele Sowore is challenging him to do, something else could happen in the crowd. And you remember the other, Mbazurike, one of them, when he was campaigning for Muhammadu Buhari way back in the 90s, he was supposed to be the vice. Apparently, there was a tear gas in that protest, and when he went home, he passed on. There were talks that there was something in the tear gas, and that was basically targeted at him. There were talks that this could be one of the reasons why a couple of supporters are saying Peter Obi could support from behind, not necessarily be in the forefront. This could be a targeted means. A couple of people also think that Omoyele Sowore is working for Tinubu because how come he's coming at this time and having to challenge Peter Obi, considering how his situation is with the government of the day, and that he should put to test his talk about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Do you think this is a plot to harm him in one way, assassinate him in one way or the other? Because Nigerians have been expressing divergent views for Peter Obi either joining this protest with Omoyele Sowore or for him to just supposedly lend his voice and not actively be there.
The big question here, Esther, is why Peter Obi in all this? Big question. Why Peter Obi? There are other politicians from the southeastern extraction in Nigeria that I expect to be part of that.
It's because he feels he is prominent, and that since Peter Obi has also spoken that Nnamdi Kanu should be free, that he should organize it. There are talks that he has never organized any protest.
No. Even some of the governors have also spoken about it. So those governors have to be part of this protest as well. When the Ohanese Igbo, whatever, I think all the members of the Ohanese Igbo, who is so traditional scholars and all that, they should be part of it. See, Peter Obi should not be singled out of this protest. That's why Peter Obi Everybody knows now that it has become a big question now. Why is Nnamdi Kanu still in detention? So if these brothers from the eastern part of this nation actually want to Nnamdi Kanu to be out of the prison, all of them should galvanize. All of them should rally around. It's even a shame that it's even Omoyele that is even talking about sponsoring a protest for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, when there are other younger activists, from the east who should have even done this.
Well, there are fears that whenever they decide to do so, it could be something else. It could turn to bloodshed, like what used to happen in the past. Whenever they decide to do something like this, they say they're trying to run an agenda.
Since this one is going to take place in Abuja, and they are marching to Aso Rock and a National Assembly, and it's just a protest, let all the who is who in southeastern part of Nigeria come out and be part of it. Not just, why mentioning only Peter Obi? There are some governors, there are senators, there are National Assembly, House of Rep members, honorable members from House of Rep. Why are their names not thrown up? Why just Peter Obi in all? Even whatever anybody is talking about that is a plot to roll Peter Obi into whatever, it becomes that when the focus is so much on Peter Obi, that's why all these discussions are coming up, and why all these people are coming up with this analysis that Peter Obi is coming, they are bringing in Peter Obi for a reason. So I expect to hear more from the governors. I expect to hear more from the senators. I expect even more to hear more from the national rulers as well. This is their own song. So Peter Obi should not even be the headline in this matter. He should also be part of it as well. But there are others who are even serving in this government, who are even supposed to lobby for the release of their brother. We have seen how Igboho was released. We have even seen he was released and set free. Why can't even the same? If that was even under Buhari's regime, why can't even the same Southeastern people that are in this government not do the same thing for Kanu? Kanu will eventually be released. It's going to be released on political ground. By the time the election is coming closer, and even probably before the end of this year, maybe within the first quarter of next year, you'll see better development coming up.
All right, Mr. Elvis, Chuma Innocent would like to ask you some questions, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Elvis Lumihele. While we're still on the Southeast, let's talk about several members of the Enugu State Cabinet who have defected to the APC ahead of the anticipated defection of Governor Peter Mbah to the ruling party. If Governor Peter Mbah finally defects, will have the majority of Southeast governors belonging to the ruling party, right? We've seen the way the ADC and other opposition parties are trying to become more popular. But does this mean that the people of the Southeast are embracing the APC? The November 8th governorship elections in Anambra are coming, and everyone is waiting with bated breath to see how that will come out. Are you with me, Mr. Elvis?
I cannot even reason that, going to APC. Peter Mbah has been doing well even in his own political party. But let me tell you, Choma, everybody that is going there, they are going there because they have just going to APC. They are going to because they have just come to discover that since President Ahmed Bola Tinubu came into power, election has been going out favoring all APC, and even when you go to court, especially what happened in Edo State, it's because that null and void. So no matter how you have done so well for your people, will they allow the vote of people who can to bring you back? I think that is their fear. It is not that APC is becoming much popular. It is just that APC has this kind of draconian system that opposition must not survive. We saw this during Abacha's time. When Abacha was trying to transmit from military head of state to civilian government president, there were political parties there. In 1994, all the 1998, all the political parties started, everybody now started confirming that Abacha is our presidential candidate only because nobody can stand his way. That's exactly what we are seeing in Nigeria now.
Mr. Elvis Lumihele,
there's going to be an eternal explosion that is going to happen, implosion that is going to happen within the APC.
Within the APC?
And people are going in.
All right. So the APC will have too many people within the party, and that will lead to an internal implosion. But I want you to look at the trend of local government and local council elections. Look at the one that was conducted in Rivers State and also in Lagos. The APC sweeping most of the seats. Would you say that this is strategic positioning ahead of 2027? I mean, if you have the people at the grassroots, would it be easier at the polls? Also, there is a report that Borno has the highest number of people who have registered for their PVCs, with 783,546 people registering. Meanwhile, the lowest is Abia State, with only 6,000 people having registered for their PVC. I mean, try to analyze the possibility.
Even the figures are mind boggling. I can't even understand these figures that are being thrown up by INEC. That is even, INEC ought to have just sanitized their register for Nigeria to actually know the true registered voters before the 2027 general election, because nobody is believing all these bogus figures that we are seeing in some states and some other states. It's just like people are not coming out to register. That's number one. Number two, the election that will be going on in local government, Choma, it has been like it has just been like a mere charade of shenanigans going on. If the state is governed by APC, all the local government must be won by APC. If it's PDP, all the local government must be won by PDP. So that's what we have been seeing. So there have really not been much election going on in the local government level, because every governor that sits as the governor of that state want to sit, with wins and caprices to make sure that the local government functions are under him. So, but these are some of the reasons why we are talking about electoral reform. We want to see reform where we can see, even from the top to the bottom, Nigerians can vote, and they can vote and get voted the choice of their candidate, the candidate of their choice. Not that somebody is there, taking the shot at the detriment of the people. So these are some of the things we ought to have even be seeing that being sponsored at the National Assembly, and so that we can have a better election both at the federal level and even at the state and local government level. Choma.
All right, then. That's what many Nigerians are expecting.
All right, and just Mr. Elvis, thank you very much for giving us your insight into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. We sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you, Esther. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. And just before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria. The families of the last 20 living hostages held by Hamas in Gaza have been sharing joy and relief at their return to Israel after 2 years in captivity. The IDF says Hamas has handed over the coffins of 4 dead hostages. Hamas has told mediators it does not know the location of some of the other 24. In exchange for the hostages, Israel has released almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and world leaders are meeting at a Gaza summit in Egypt. The U.S. president hails a tremendous day for the Middle East as he and regional leaders sign a document to cement his Gaza ceasefire deal. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Mwachuku.
My name is Chioma Innocent. Good evening, and thank you for listening. The Evening Rush will come up at 7 p.m.
Welcome to the best exclusive radio station, VOD 90.3, bringing you the best mix of the best music.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city. The loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and passion for excellence in the continent's media space. Exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor.
If you want to be heard, say it here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. People 90.3 FM.
Ndewo, my country people. I say make I remind you now. The radio station where they allow you talk your mind, they for this Lagos. Now voice of the people, 90.3 FM, where you fit listen to better programs and shows.
Hey, Oga wa town crier. Shall one need jolly entertainment program, sha?
Of course.
Do they have political programs and news for intellectual savvy people like me?
Oga Professor, that one serve day.
Excuse me, sir. Do they have children programs too?
My dear, children self get their own segment. Any other questions?
Hey, now what will be the radio station number? The frequency now 90.3 FM, voice of the people. The number one Ogbonge station where they give you a voice. Rush, make you go listen now.
Voice of the people.
VOP 90.3 FM, Voice of the People Radio.
Hello, is that Voice of the People Radio?
VOP 90.3 FM.
Perez in the mix.
The international boy, DJ Perez.
I'll be on the phone, calling you tonight. I wanna make you show me, make we know the fight. I don't wanna sleep alone, wanna hold you tight. But I fool my eyes, but I'll be alright. Forever, on my laptop, on my keto, baby,